You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Thank you for joining me today on this Total Wellness Tuesday, where I'm going to be sharing with you the top 10 tips and top 10 ways to beat seasonal affective disorder. So I really believe that most people have a touch of this really during the winter time, and especially the further you live away from the equator, meaning the less sun that you get during those winter months, the more your mood can be affected by the seasonal-based changes. Now, some people actually have the diagnosis, which for whatever that's worth, of SAD, seasonal affective disorder, it's called. Now, for those people, as well as everyone else who doesn't feel as great during the winter as they do during the summer, this podcast is going to help with that. So what do I mean by that? Some people get an immediate boost during the summertime, meaning they need less supplements, they need less sleep, they just feel overall more energized, and they don't know what it is. Well, a lot of that has to do with the actual circadian rhythm and a lot of the hormones and neurotransmitters that are affected in our body the further we get away from that sun or the less sunlight that we get during the day. So really, what is seasonal affective disorder? For those of you who've not heard about it before, well, for a lot of people, when you're diagnosed with seasonal affective disorder, and again, there's not one thing, meaning that you're simply, if you come in with these symptoms, you're said to have seasonal affective disorder. So if you feel more fatigue during the winter months, if your mood's a little lower or you feel depressed, if you have difficulty getting motivated, difficulty focusing a little bit more, if you just feel more apathetic, so you're tired or apathetic, you just don't really care about life quite as much. These are all signs of something that's called seasonal affective disorder. And they can then lead to things, like we said, of the lowered hormones in certain areas that I'm going to talk about today. The lowered neurotransmitters that are a natural boost, essentially, in endorphins, as well as the brain chemicals that we need to feel good, to feel happy. It makes it more challenging for us to get out of bed. And like I said, it disrupts our circadian rhythm, which is really what we're talking about, because Ayurveda knew this many thousands of years ago, and they talked about this. They talked about how the body changes for the seasons, and that's why they had seasonal-based diets, and they had seasonal-based herbs that you could use. And I talked about this even on my Friday review, kind of joked about it last week, where I talked about my favorite hot sauces for the wintertime. And I talked about, because kapha, which is not only a body type, but also a condition within the body of when the body produces more mucus, and how you can eliminate that, knowing that kapha is a phlegm, is a mucus, is a wetness, is an oil, those types of things. So how would you battle that? Well, you would battle that with its opposite. Everything in this world has an answer to fix it. And the answer, when things get out of balance, means they get pushed too far in one direction. The only way to balance that is to push back harder in that other direction. So if kapha is about cool, cold, mucus, phlegm, those types of things, well, we need to push back with hot, spicy, heat, drying. Does that make sense? I mean, I really want you to start to think about all of these things. So not just one particular topic. With the Cabral concept, what I'm trying to do is give you the macro. I'm trying to give you the knowledge, the know-how, so that you can figure out these things throughout your entire life. Meaning that just because we talk about one topic, and that's why I just can't recommend enough tuning into each show, even if it's not necessarily about you, because what I'm trying to do is take a concept, explain the concept, and then teach you then how that can apply to other areas of your life. So in Ayurvedic medicine, they knew that during the winter time, here's what happened. Your body essentially goes, again, the further away from the equator, less sun that you're getting, less hours of sun that you're getting, less impact from the sun, meaning like it's not as strong, it's not as heating. What that does is it lowers your metabolic rate. So it gets you more, and again, this is the kapha time of year, the colder weather, whether you're in, sunny Florida, sunny San Diego, or wherever it's sunny in the rest of the world, or you're up in the Northeast like I am in New England, right? So the further in the Northeast, the further up, or the just further north in general, like in Canada, well, what we're getting is more of that kapha-based season. Colder, damp, all of the things that are the kapha body type. Well, what happens is the kapha body type, the endomorph, has a lower metabolism. Wintertime, without getting me too deep into this topic right now, is naturally a lowered metabolic rate. And the reason for that is actually natural. It is not, it's by design with nature. If we would have access to less food during those cold months, then it would make sense that our metabolic rate would begin to lower. If we had less sunlight during those winter months, less time to go out and work and hunt and gather and all of those things, then we would most likely need to get more rest. Why would we need more rest? Well, when we are resting, we are conserving energy. The human body literally will die if it uses up too much of its energy, because then it cannot meet its energetic-based needs. And I know that that's getting maybe a little bit too deep for today's show, but if you understand that nature's not messing up, nothing's messing up within your body, but we also have to then deal with what we're given. So these are kind of unnatural circumstances now that we have all the luxuries and conveniences of our modern day society, meaning that we don't need to lower metabolic rate, nor do we want to, right? Back then it was a survival based issue. Now we don't need it. For the most part, we should be extremely grateful because many of us have a roof over our head. We're able to access food when we need it. So there isn't that scarcity there was before. So what I want to teach you now are the top 10 ways in our modern day society that we can try to now push back against this thing called seasonal affective disorder, which wouldn't be that much of a disorder thousands of years ago if you were literally living in the elements in the north away from the equator. Because we see less of this the closer to the equator you get. And the reason is that you have the strength of the sunlight. So really, really important to look at that as well. All right. So here's what we want to do first. I'm going to give you my top 10 ways. These are 10 things that I've really tweaked over the years. And I want to be able to not only direct you to previous shows on some of these things, but just give you the top 10 to get started right away. So the first one is understanding the Ayurvedic-based philosophy that we need more rest, that it's natural during the winter time. I want you to get to bed a little earlier. There is no need to stay up for that many hours after the sun goes down. Okay? This is a very important concept to understand because in Ayurvedic medicine, they say that during the winter months, you need more sleep. During the summer months, you need less sleep. And it's really amazing because the sun is energizing and that is giving you a lot of that energy. We don't have the sun as much during the cooler months. We have more of the moon. The moon is actually cooling. And again, that's more of the kapha based. I don't want to get too deep into this, but it does get deep. And that's why Ayurvedic medicine blows any other type of medicine out of the water. It's not even close. The system of medicine, you can study Ayurvedic medicine for your entire life, and I'm not sure that you can master it because it's that deep. You just keep unraveling this ball of yarn that literally is never ending, okay? So here's the thing. We need a little bit more sleep during the winter months. If you can't sleep in longer, well, we want to get to bed a little earlier. Plain and simple. Whatever your bedtime is now, try to get to bed a half hour earlier. That's my biggest recommendation right there. Then, if the sun's not rising till 7 a.m. or so, we need you to get to bed a little earlier, or you can sleep in a little bit later. As the sun starts to rise early, you can get up a little earlier, you can go to bed a little later, whatever works for you. Again, that could make sense because in the summertime, if the sun's not setting until 8 o'clock or so, well, you might not be going to bed at 9 or 9:30. You might be going to bed at 10 o'clock in the summer months. But again, we'll get into that as we get more towards a seasonal-based change. My second thing is this. I've recommended this for a couple years now. The Wake Light was one of my first Friday reviews. Every Friday, I give you a couple things that I use in my own life or use in my practice or that I see working for people, and it's based on real science. Well, with the Wake Light, it's amazing. You literally wake up to light. Instead of your alarm clock going off and this blazing siren that's just trying to spike cortisol and your melatonin is still pumping, well, here's the thing. It's like this push-pull. It's like one foot's on the gas and one foot's at the brake at the same time within your body. And that does not feel good. I was there for many years. I really was. And that's why I didn't ever feel like I woke up until about 11 a.m. I was very, very groggy for the first 3 hours, 4 hours or so that I was awake. That was terrible. I'll tell you though, that wake light is tremendous. And it's going to lead me into my second point. So I want to talk about that now. But what is the wake light? Well, the wake light, essentially you set it for your wake time or a little after. And 30 minutes before the wake light is set, it starts to get brighter each minute for 30 minutes. And ideally you wake up just by the light alone, which is exactly how humans should wake up. That's natural. Now, I live in the city, so I black out shades and all that type of jazz because I don't want city light blocking my melatonin production at night. But now I can wake up through a wake light. And if I don't wake up within that half hour, which would be extremely rare, I wake up by birds chirping on this little wake light rather than, again, an air raid siren, which I don't want to hear. The other nice thing is this, is that I don't have to keep my phone right necessarily beside my head, which is not great for EMFs and all those other things. So I'll link that up in today's show notes. And you know what I'll also do with that is I'll put in my episode, my Friday review on the wake light, because again, it is one of my favorite things. I think I put it in my top 20 holiday gifts as well for the season. So number 3 is this, like the wake light, but more powerful. When you wake up, when you're getting ready for the morning, you can just literally, I'm going to give you a couple recommendations, okay? So you want to use a light box. A light box is clinically proven, scientifically proven to help those people with seasonal affective disorder. And again, I believe everyone has a little bit of a touch of it. I have it myself, meaning that I still feel good during the winter, but I feel great during the summer, like amazing during the summer, which also leads me to question, why do I still live in Boston during the winter? But that's a different topic for another day. So here's the thing though, the light box, and I've done a Friday review on this as well. So what I'll do is, since the Friday reviews are about 5 to 10 minutes on each product, and I'm not going to do 5 to 10 minutes on each product today, but a light box is about 10,000 lux or 10,000 lumens, and it tries to mimic the same power of the sun. So literally you can be getting ready in the morning and just put on this light box for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So a lot of the studies are done with 30 minutes, essentially just keeping it within a foot or 2 feet of your body. So you can just be, in the morning just getting ready, and you can just have this light box shining in your face. And what it does is it further stops melatonin production. It's one of the reasons why people have seasonal affective disorder, but a doctor like an MD may never tell you that. And again, nothing against MDs, but if you're not taught that, how do you teach other patients that? You can't. So here's the deal though. If melatonin is still being produced, because it's still dark out when you wake up, like it makes sense, right? But if melatonin is still being produced, that's that foot on the brake. Your body's telling you, go back to bed. You're tired. You're fatigued. You shouldn't be up right now, right? So it's like this push-pull. Well, a light box shuts off that melatonin production. So it's pretty amazing stuff. Boosts your mood, boosts serotonin, which we're going to get into at the end. So also, this is number 4. So while you're listening or while you're using this light box, can't recommend it enough. Listen to some motivational music, something upbeat that you love to start your day. Listen to a podcast that you enjoy, or watch a video that motivates you as well. And I've given some other motivational-based people in the past, so just tune into some of those house calls and Mindset Motivation Monday podcasts as well. Listen to a Mindset Motivation Monday podcast. You maybe listened to it in the past, whatever it is, or another podcast. You can listen to any podcast that motivates you. Listen to one that gets you fired up to start your day. Anything that motivates you to get going is going to help you then shut off melatonin and start to boost your dopamine and serotonin and norepinephrine. And we'll talk about those as well. All right. Number 5 is this, is after you do your light box, maybe you hop in the shower, whatever works for you. Hop in the shower works for me, meaning like I immediately get right into my day. One of the ways that I was able to overcome all this grogginess, all this stuff is I immediately just got into my day. Woke up to the wake light, didn't dilly-dally. I got my greens, my water, my lime, my pinch of sea salt, just drank it down, and I would I would shave and just get right in the shower. Okay, that's how I started my day. The hot water always woke me up. After I took a shower and just kind of got ready for the day, I was good to go. And so what I do is then I get into a light workout. It's not even really a workout. What I do is 5 exercises. I've spoken about these 5 exercises in the past. And that's how I essentially start my day. All those exercises they're not meant to transform my body necessarily because I'm not doing any one of them to failure. But what I'm doing is getting blood pumping through my body. I'm waking up my nervous system, and I'm also stimulating again, I keep going back to it, but the serotonin, the dopamine, like all the feel-good neurotransmitters. And I can't recommend that enough. So you can do a light workout like I do, which is, again, just push-ups, squats, lunges, set of chin-ups, and a little bit of like a boat pose with a twist for my core, okay? You could do a plank. You could do anything you want. The exercises aren't, the specific ones don't really matter. They really don't. What matters is the blood flow. So I've talked about this before, and I'll link up this show as well. One of the best things you can do, forget about what I just mentioned in terms of the exercises that I do. Surya Namaskar or Surya Namaskara, it's an asana. It's a sun salutation essentially from yoga. I've been doing obviously yoga for many, many years. I got certified as a yoga instructor way back in 2001 or 2002 in Providence, Rhode Island when I used to live down there. But when I went to India, and this is going back a little bit as well, Surya Namaskara was taught to me in a few different ways, which means that it was taught to me in a way that you can use it to relax the body, a way to invigorate the body, and a way to actually use it as a workout. It just essentially means how fast you go through it, how much effort you put into it. I just want you to flow through the movement. So I'm going to link up that episode, and it will contain the exact movements to go through. So we'll do that. Now, essential oils. There's a lot of people who listen to this podcast that are into essential oils. I want you to choose an essential oil for you that opens up your nasal passages, that stimulates your nervous system, not heightens it, but just stimulates your body to wake up, to start to get started throughout the day. Some people really enjoy eucalyptus. Some people really enjoy tea tree. Some people really enjoy lavender, which is calming, but at the same time can open your body up. I really enjoy lavender. It's one of my favorites. I've used it with my girls for quite some time as well to kind of calm them down at nighttime too. You could use some peppermint oil. You could use some orange as well. It's orange essential oil, orange peel essential oil to help open up the body as well. There's so many you could use. I'm just giving you the basics because I'll do an essential oil podcast in the future, but I want to give people the basics that they can actually get access to essentially anywhere they go. All right. Number 7 is this. Number 7 is really important. During the winter time, you must get your vitamin D levels tested. You just have to. So either do your annual blood work, which I'll link up a link to right now. You can get it done by your PCP, or you can use the link that we recommend out to for a company called Life Extension as well. We'll link up that and the exact ones that I run, that my wife runs, that I recommend everyone in my practice. So you can do annual blood. And again, sometimes your PCP will run that as well. So that'd be great. Now, if you're not going to have your blood work done, you just can't get access, whatever it might be, then at least listen into my vitamin D shows, because vitamin D, I'm going to link up that show as well. So vitamin D show, I'm putting in my notes right now. The vitamin D show told you essentially exactly how many IUs of vitamin D that you need, depending on body weight, but you must be using a vitamin D supplement. If you walk outside, let's just say you walk outside in your underwear, that's it. And would you get a tan? Yes or no? So in Boston, I could be outside all day. And if I'm out in the sun, I won't get a tan because the sun isn't strong enough. And if the sun is not strong enough to give you a tan, or you don't get a tan, even if the sun is strong enough, then your vitamin D levels are most likely going to be inadequate. So that's the bottom line. So most people need vitamin D during the winter. It's just, that's the way it is. And you can't say, well, I don't like to supplement. I just want to get it from food and sun. Like, all of that's great. But just keep in mind, this is an unnatural way of life living in New England. Like, this is very unnatural. If we were living many thousands of years ago, it would not be humanly possible to really survive that easily in a climate like this. There's very little vegetation during the winter. All the animals are basically hidden away. There's nowhere to go when it's cold and it's freezing. And if I didn't have a roof on my head with heating and all that, I would most likely not be alive. So again, we're living in a very unnatural, synthetic-based environment. And so if you live in that environment, well, you just have to then supplement the things that you'd be missing. And I want to be practical about this, right? I'm always idealistic, but I also want to be practical as well. That's very, very important. Okay. So if not, supplement with vitamin D. We'll link a couple different vitamin D sources in today's show notes. So I keep naming all these things, all these episodes. For everything today, because I'm going to link up like 10 different links for you, go to StephenCabral.com/676. StephenCabral.com/676. That's where all of today's show notes will be. All right, number 8 is this. Number 8 is absolutely take up a new hobby, passion, side career, anything that you want that's going to excite you and boost your mood. I want you to take up something new this winter. It could be a sport. It could be working out. It could be kickboxing. It could be any type of martial arts. It could be indoor rock climbing. Honestly, it could be a new company, a new book you're writing, anything at all. I want you to start something new that's like a passion project of yours, or getting your body in shape, working with a personal trainer, working with a health coach, anything. I want you to do something that excites you every day, and every day you have to work towards that. that will, again, boost those hormones and neurotransmitters that we're talking about. So important. Number 9 is this. If you can get out of your cold climate and closer to the equator for a long weekend, every 6 weeks or every whatever, do that. Because getting more vitamin D, getting more sun, feeling the heat from those rays from the sun is going to, again, pull you out of that seasonal affective disorder. And it will last probably about a week or so after you come back from that vacation. Will it start to diminish after that? Yes. But at least that will help for a week or two, which I think is helpful as well. Okay, really, really important. I do the same thing myself. I'm fortunate enough to be in that position. I know not everyone is in that same position, so I know that's not one that everyone's going to be able to do, but I do recommend it for you, your family, if you're able to do it. And again, there's so many other tips. If you're not able to do that one, I completely understand. Number 10 is this. Number 10, the last one, is if we do all of these things and you still need a boost, that's okay, okay? If you still need a boost, there are certain natural antidepressants, certain natural anti-anxiety, certain natural hormone and neurotransmitter boosters. All right, I've already named vitamin D, okay? Your activated B complex is another one. Your body needs to get enough of your B vitamins to give you a boost. Very, very important. Zinc is an important one, okay? Vitamin C is an important one. And we already named vitamin D. You can get all of these things through something like the Daily Activated Multivitamin, okay? Or you can use the Daily Nutritional Support Shake if you want to do that. You can use any products that are really built up with this good functional medicine, methylated-based B vitamins and all these things, because you can't take the synthetic-based, the forms that your body can't assimilate as easily. So the adeno-based, the methyl-based, all of those are absolutely fantastic for your B vitamins, and that's great. So the other things, though, on top of that, can be a tyrosine, which I spoke about this in a previous podcast about, let's see, the missing neurotransmitter that regulates motivation, focus, and feeling alive. Episode 669. Okay, so that was on dopamine, if your dopamine levels are low. So that's one to look into. Now, we don't supplement with dopamine, but we might use something like foods or a nutritional supplement that has a little bit of tyrosine that gives you a boost. Only if needed. Just keep in mind, I very rarely use these products in my practice. I just want to be like full disclosure, very rarely do I use them at a higher level dose. I just don't, because I don't have the need to. Because if we do the other things, then we very rarely have a need for it. Now, 1 out of 50 people, maybe 1 out of 50, maybe 1 out of 100. It's a small number for the people that I work with in my practice. We will use them. So again, I will never close myself off from any form of medicine. That's always been my goal. Whatever someone needs, I'm there to help them, and I want to use a more natural source. Serotonin. What if your serotonin levels are low and you need a boost, and the choice is an antidepressant or a natural-based form? Of course, I'm going to use something like tryptophan or more like 5-hydroxytryptophan, which is 5-HTP. I'll also recommend St. John's wort. St. John's wort has been clinically proven over 2 decades now. It's used quite a bit in Europe, much more than in the United States. Just, you have to be careful and look into this if you're on certain medications like blood thinners, birth control, those types of things, because it can make them less effective. So again, if you're going to think about using St. John's wort as a natural antidepressant, please just look into the contraindications if you're currently on a pharmaceutical drug. Again, if you're not on any pharmaceutical drugs, well, then there you go. We don't have to worry about that. And the last one is GABA. So GABA is one of those that are great for anti-anxiety, not as much of the antidepressant, but more of the anti-anxiety feel good, and we can look into that as well. I'll link up all of these products today in the show notes, but what I want you to do is start from number 1 and work your way all up to number 10, 9, and 10 if needed. So this is a show that I really enjoy doing because I believe that these are 10 action steps. I believe that these 10 action steps really can help almost anyone, and I mean almost anyone as in everyone, overcome seasonal affective disorder. I know there's always going to be a couple hard to treat, and I use treat in quotation mark cases. For those, then you'll work specifically with a health practitioner. But also at the same time, I want the Cabral concept to really disrupt this form of conventional medicine that we have, is that you need to rely on your doctor for everything that surrounds your health, because you don't. The information is out there. I want to be able to provide the information for you, and then I want you to be able to take action with that information. And then at the same time, I want you to heal yourself, but then I want you to pass this information on to someone else that it can serve. Because remember, it's not just about me. It's not just about you. We need to get this information out to other people. Not my information. I didn't make any of this up. I read the research. I assimilate it. I say, what did traditional Chinese medicine say? What did Ayurvedic medicine say? What does functional medicine say? What does orthomolecular medicine say? what does traditional naturopathy say? I look into all of these things and I say, okay, this makes sense. Here's the overlap. This is what works. And then I pass that on to you. Please, if you can, do me a favor, pass this information on to as many people as you can. We need to make a difference. We need to make a difference with natural health in this world. Because I'll tell you right now, if you rely on pharmaceuticals, it takes your control away. You control your health. Nobody else does. Your doctor doesn't control your health. It's you. It's your body. It's your mind. You deserve to have this information, and so do others out there. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in to another Cabral Concept. I appreciate each and every one of your listens and even more for your shares. Thank you very much. Take care. Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp parts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to stephencabral.com/resources.